I put a spell on you. And now, you're mine. You can't stop the things I do. I lie. It's been 300 years, right down to the day. Now the witch is back, and there's hell to pay. I put a spell on you. And now you're mine! I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My whammy fell on you.
Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing my October TBR and everything that I read for Blackoweenathon. As most of you know by now, Bree asked me to be one of the co-hosts for Blackoweenathon this year. Bree over at the Lock Petition created this readathon 3 years ago. It is a month-long readathon that takes place every October and focuses on highlighting Black authors that write in crime fiction genres. This was my first time participating in Blackoweenathon. I had a really great time and a really great reading month for the most part. Bree has done a fantastic job and is already thinking about plans for next year. So if you did not participate this year, I highly recommend that you do so next year. And also, friendly reminder to read books by marginalized communities all year round and not just in our specific months. You can read Black books outside of Black History Month. You can read Indigenous books outside of Indigenous Heritage Month. We shouldn't have to say that, but apparently we do. Just make sure you're diversifying what you read. The first book that I read in October was Bluebird by Attica Locke. This is the book that I read for the prompt to read a book set in the American South, and it was recommended to me by Erica at The Broken Spine. This is about a Black Texas Ranger who is investigating the murder of a Black lawyer from Chicago and a local white woman. He thinks they are connected. I really enjoyed this, rated it 4.5 stars. I listened to the audio and I really like the narrator as well as the author's writing, so I will definitely be reading the second book. Next, I read Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley. This is the first book in the Easy Rollins series. I liked it, but not as much as I was thinking I would. It was pretty average. I rated it 3 stars. So I don't think that I'm going to continue this series, but I will definitely be watching the movie adaptation. This was a recommendation that I got from Emma Ray at Emma Ray Empowered. So I don't know if I might pick it up again later on. I do have a lot of the books in the series already, so perhaps it is something that I'll pick up at a later date. This is the book that I picked for a book that was backlisted 10 years or more, but also would have worked for a book that was published in the 20th century. Next, I read The Other Black Girl After Being Coerced Into Doing So by Robin. This was not originally on my TBR, but I guess it would technically count for either new release or underrated author. I have a full drunk book review of this book. I did not enjoy it at all. I rated it 1.5 stars. Like I said, it was not good. It was not an enjoyable reading experience. I would not recommend this one to anyone. Then I read My Soul to Keep by Tananarive Due. This is the first book in the African Immortals series. I really enjoyed this one, and I know that Tananarive Due is one of Bree's favorite authors. In this, we're following a woman named Jessica who is married to a man named David, and we find out that David has a secret and he is trying to figure out how to keep Jessica and their daughter forever. I don't know if I explained that very well, but it was very good. I listened to the audio of this one as well. I really liked it. I believe there are 4 books in the series, and I will definitely be continuing that one too. This is really bad news for my series spreadsheet, but oh well. Next, I read Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've had this one on my TBR for a really long time. This was a 5-star prediction, and I am excited to say that I did actually rate it 5 stars. In this, we are following Enchanted. She's a young, aspiring singer and songwriter. She is discovered by a really popular music producer who has a pretty crappy reputation when it comes to dealing with young girls. And when I tell you that I've never wanted to fucking fight a fictional character so badly in my life, I mean that shit with my whole chest. I will put up a list of content warnings on the screen. There are a lot going into them, so please be careful reading this. I read this at the same time as another pretty heavy book, and it was not a great idea, but I was very well prepared. A lot of people warned me about this one before I picked it up, and I am glad that I finally got to it. I forgot to mention that My Soul to Keep was the book that I picked for a book published in the 20th century. Grown was for my recent release. I believe this came out in 2020. And then this next book would count for recent release as well as underrated author, and that is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. I'm gonna do a full review of this book because there's a lot of things that aren't being talked about that I think should be talked about in this book. In this, we're following Jake, who is a teenager. He's one of the very few people of color at his prep school, and he is a medium. So there was a school shooting at a different school a little while back, and for some reason the ghost of that shooter is, I guess you could say, haunting Jake. But there's a lot more that goes into it. There are also a lot of content warnings for this book. I'll have those on the screen as well. While I did enjoy this book for the most part, it is a rough one to get through, especially because people will say that they like it and that they really enjoyed it, but they won't talk about the content warnings. So there were some things that I was aware of and some that I was not. I definitely recommend going into this one with caution. As I said, I will be doing a full review, but I rated it 4 stars. So those are all the books that I read for Blackoweenathon this year. I had such a great time. I can't wait to do it again next year. There are a lot more books that I want to get into. I got so many recommendations from other people that were participating in Blackoweenathon. There were like 5 unofficial group reads, and it was a really fun time. So as I said, if you did not participate in Blackoweenathon this year, I highly recommend that you do next year. And remember to keep reading books by Black authors all year round, not just in February or after our community has suffered a tragedy. So let me know if you participated in Blackoweenathon this month, and if you did, what your favorite read of the month was. Mine was Grown. It is the only one that I rated 5 stars, but I did have a lot of good 4 and 4.5 star reads. And let me know if you've read any of these books or if they are on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.